Good morning, everyone. We are Group 3 in Class A018. I'm Chu Pui Ying, and my group mates are Chung Lai Him, Fu Yi, Hon Siu Wai, and Lau Ho Yin. Our topic is the global developments and influence of pornography. That is the content schedule that we will discuss. First of all, for the history, the work pornography derived from Greece was originally defined as a work of art or a literature picturing the life of prostitutes. With the development of pornography culture gradually becoming globalized, Japan has becoming a culture with a very highly developed visual pornography culture. Since at least the 17th century, people have elaborately portrayed sexual intercourse, and those paintings are usually aimed at providing sex education to medical professionals, prostitutes, and married couples. And now, the existing literature provides a number of varying descriptions of the term pornography. According to the final report of the Atlantic Journal Commission on Pornography, it can be defined as any material that is predominantly sexually explicit and intends primarily of the purpose of sexual arousal. Also, it can be divided into two categories, including traditional pornography and internet pornography, and they usually centralize on physiology, including masturbation, oral sex, and vaginal and anal intercourse, all with a focus on the genital. Traditional pornography relies on traditional media venues, such as television, movies, and magazines. The content of traditional pornography is subject to certain restrictions. It requires receiving magazines or films from stores or friends, or watching television programs. All of those are all carry a perception of increased risk of parental detection to online websites or downloading pictures and video, where people are engaging in sexual acts to stimulate the viewer's sexual response. The content of online pornography has been well regulated. It has obtained an endless supply of free and diversified materials, and can be accessed almost anytime and anywhere through the internet connection. Teenagers often perceive viewing online pornography as private and anonymous, so therefore they can boldly search for materials that they would not search through traditional media, while parents are more difficult to monitor. Now we are going to talk about the concept and theories based on pornography use. As far as observational learning is concerned, which based on seeing, retaining, and replicating novel behavior performed by others in the text of imitating learning. According to the second-hand data, in 2016, 33% of Hong Kong secondary school girls and 59% of boys have reviewed pornography materials, and the average age of boys first exposed to pornography material is 13 years old. Child and teens exposure to pornography can be intentional or unintentional. Examples of unintentional exposure include the opening of unsolicited message, or receiving spam emails, or accidentally viewing pop-up images and advertisements. When teenagers are exposed to pornography content in their first journey for the first time, it may arouse their curiosity about gender, through causing them to search for more pornography content purposefully and deliberately to satisfy their curiosity. Teenagers can view more pornography more secretly and anonymously without being easily discovered. Most of the teenagers try to view internet pornography, which may portray extreme forms of sexual behavior and sexual violence more than traditional pornography, and exhibit sexual scripts, which supports aggressive and gender stereotype behaviors. Most of those extreme sexual behaviors, sexual violence content, and sexual literature advocate the superiority of men and form a gender stereotype that men are perpetrators and women are victims typically. As a result, whether it's teenagers or elderlies, they may also learn and imitate the behaviors that conform to their gender roles. For teenagers, They may watch each other's behavior, appearance, and body reaction to actors and actresses, and observe the message that presents sexual literature. After that, they may imitate the behavior and action through pornography to strengthen their gender identity. For adolescents, they try to use online pornography primarily alone or done with their partner. They usually learn novel sexual behaviors to enhance love by watching pornography together. In terms of the model of desire, for religion persons, they are usually hostile or condemning the use of pornography. They may disagree with it and support pornography censorship, so they see it as a social issue. Also, most people in the past were moral incongruents, which means that people's use of pornography did not match their own pornography values. Some may think that porn is filthy, immoral, lewd, and indecent materials. But on the other hand, they also will use pornography to meet their physical needs, especially religious persons, because certain religious beliefs do not allow sex before marriage. However, porn has gradually become open and normal. The first reason is respect. If people feel dissatisfied or rejected, their guilty heart usually desire respect, and pornography provides the illusion of respect. In the fantastic world, they are adored by fantastic men or women. Porn gives them an erotic style world, where they are man enough or woman enough to capture the attention of others by their sexual powerlessness. They enter the fantastic, and for a brief moment, can feel truly available. The second reason is the relationship. People desire intimacy, but they don't like its risk. They want a real relationship, but they want to be the one in control. Porn gives them the illusion is that they can feel connected, but not have all the mess of a real relationship. Porn offers a parody of love and closeness in the relationship. The final reason is revenge. In times of frustration and anger, people may turn to porn as an act of revenge against another people, like their spouse who isn't having sex with them when they want. People can realize unfulfilled desire through pornography. And now I will pass to Fuxing Yi to talk about gender constructionism and culture forces.
I'm Oscar in Group 3. I'm going to discuss doing and undoing gender in pornography, also the encoding-decoding theory in pornography. Doing gender is a gender concept introduced by Candace West and Don Zimmerman in 1987. When the physical gender transitions to the social gender, sex category is operating. It divides the human behaviors into male or female by dichotomy, strengthen and give physiological male masculinity, and other behaviors are regarded feminine characteristic and given to physical woman. Under the operation of the sexual category, physiological women will become more and more like girls, and even be called qualified women. And physiological men will become more and more like boys, and even conform to the appearance of men expected by society. Meanwhile, the gender norms and gender stereotypes will be formed. According to Gender Stereotypes in the Hong Kong Media, a scoping study written by Equal Opportunities Commission in 2015, the media promotes ideal body image and perceptions, attitude, and behaviors. Women who are affected by these aspects are more likely to be dissatisfied with their body shape. Their self-worth is also lower, and the risk of eating disorders is higher. And we found that pornography usually focuses on sexual attraction. We seldom see unisex costumes in the pornography, especially the feminine dress will be emphasized. The sexual and body characteristics of actors will be zoomed in. We can find the classification by body characteristics like the size of breast, the number of hairs, or even the characteristic of the sex organs. Doctors may do plastic surgery to fulfill the public's aesthetics, which further shape the public's aesthetics and ideal body image. Research from Equal Opportunities Commission also mentioned that boys who are exposed to pornography have more negative stereotypes of women and a greater proclivity towards sexual harassment. Those who are exposed to pornography believe sexual coercion is more permissible in relationships. Pornography are shaping the image of female have heavy sexual desire. Meanwhile, the plots in pornography always shows sex drive overwhelm the willingness of both sex and moral. For instance, the actress must show enjoyed even she was being raping in the video, and never really reject to the sex requirements due to their performing, but not explaining sexual behavior. Also, male usually have active and strong image because they can please the target audience, that's the male. Some of the female may love those masculine males too. The mainstream pornography in market makes one-side description of both sexes, just like what I mentioned. It will further strengthen the stereotypes, which is also the process of doing gender. According to the problem with porn, heteronormativity and gender rules published on the room fee, men and women are expected to think and behave differently in many contexts. Sex exists as something a man does for a woman. Restricting, sharing, or visibility of the experience as female are prohibited against directing their own sexual pleasure due to risks of slut label. Labeling the actors to please audience are common in pornography industry, and the actress will be labeling with insulting words, such as snake and bitch, to show they are under the male's control in sexuality. As you can see the title of pornography I screenshotted. It insults female with the word slut, but still getting over 100,000 views. Pornography is usually produced by men and usually describe men as sexually capable, powerful, and dominates women. Those feature objectified female by male perspective. The gender is doing as the image from pornography in society. Although I mentioned how pornography doing gender, the pornography industry become diversified over time. There are some examples of undoing gender in pornography. According to Undoing Gender written by Francine, gender institutions can be changed, and the social interactions that support them can be undone. We can see that the actors with different personality and orientation exist in pornography industry nowadays, which aims to fulfill different audiences' preference but shows feminine traits and masculine traits are not only standards to measure both sexes. For instance, the female is playing SM queen with proactive and strong image. Some of the actresses may have short hair and strong muscles, which promotes sex permissiveness and breaking the gender norms. On the other hand, encoding-decoding theory in pornography is also worth discussing. According to encoding and decoding in the television discourse, when we decode the message, the meaning of message will be extracted in a way that makes sense to us. And there are two forms of communication in decoding. verbal and nonverbal communication, which means observing body language and its related emotions. The three hypothetical positions of decoding are: accepts the preferred meanings, acknowledges the legitimacy of the hegemonic in the abstract. People understand their own preferred encoding. In pornography industry, visual simulation has direct connection with the field and income. In order to attract people's attention, any types of film can be shot. Even sensitive topics like raping and cheating, which means the hegemony in pornography industry are views and popularity. There is an example that shows the effects of encoding-decoding theory. Mia Khalifa, who born in Lebanon, was asked to wear the Muslim dress-up while shooting, which obviously aimed to increase the views. Lebanon is a Middle Eastern country with large amounts of Muslims. Muslims are a patriarchy religion, which women have lower power and status. Besides, there are many dogmas for Muslims. Some of them are very strict restrictions on sex. They failed to enumerate when the video was released. Some of the Muslims even threatened Maya with death. On the other hand, the video brought extremely high benefits. This proves that many people are attracted by this gimmick and do not boycott it due to the offensive subject matter, which shows the same pornography may have different meanings with different decoding.
Good morning, I'm Chung Lai Him. I would like to talk about the reflection hypothesis, the production hypothesis, and also the power of the body through studying pornography. First, I would like to analyze pornography by different periods of time, such as the pornography before the invention of camera, which were mostly drawn, and the situation after camera was invented, which allow recording pornography as video. Before porn video is popular, pornography documented by hands recorded sex activities in a more objective way. They only record the sex scene without many interpretation and explanation about the relationships between characters. These images only focusing on describing, capturing the actions of having sex. However, after video pornography was becoming popular, reflection hypothesis has an alternative form. Directors or producers started to shape the characters with roles and stories. These characters are created based on male's libido. They are the different imaginations of male towards women that bring a diversity of porn topics. Still, the production are reflecting the desire of how men want to be treated in sex, and also reflecting a more hidden, secret thought inside many males' mind. There is another difference between periods of porns, which is the targeted audience. During the period of hand-drawn pornography, it targeted both male and female. People may learn the sex skills in order to have better sex with their wives or husbands, which can help constructing a better marriage relationship between them. Digital or video porn are targeting males in the modern world, which are more open to talk about sex and willing to spend money on porns. That's the reason why porns are always focusing on men's expectations. In other words, female nowadays should be oppressive and take passive role on sex, which they shouldn't have desire. This phenomenon is due to patriarchy. At last, porn is a production under power of the body, no matter from its target or the contents. Power of the body allows us to construct an analytics of power that no longer takes law as a model or a code. There should be conceived of sex without law and power without king. Porn is here to express or show audience desire by filming different topics such as NTR, sex with step relatives, raping, etc. Many of them are not moral in the society, but the characters don't care much in the porn video. Their actions are driven by pure desire, ignoring laws and moral in modern society. Moreover, the motivation of the sex seem are not for reproduction. Porns show how humans enjoy sex and follow their desire. That's how power of the body is shown in porn's content. What the audience do with pornography is also demonstrating power of the body. Pornography acts as a boost of senses to achieve orgasm. However, the orgasm is not aimed for reproduction. Most of the time, porns are watched individually. The audience enjoy porn with masturbation and not with sex interactions with anyone. The masturbation here is the desire of sex that has no relationship with the society, which means there is no responsibility for them to watch porns and masturbation. The masturbation is totally driven by the desire. However, reflecting man's imaginations under patriarchal society brings stigmatization towards women. In order to stimulate the libido of men and satisfy their vanity through porn, the images of women should enjoy the sex action taken by men which may not be the reality. That brings production hypothesis that trivialize and condemn women. For example, women are described as horny. They will seduce men for sex. Most of female characters are described as having no chastity in porn, since they have sex with strangers even when they were married. In some specific porns, female orgasm when gets riveted. The porn describes it as female's orgasm because of the pleasure brought by the body. However, this is just biological defense.
Hi, I'm Michael, Hon Siu Wai.
With the change of period, people in the world being accepted to the existence of the pornography. Why? There's several reasons to explain the phenomenon. People are being open-minded are the main reason. With the process of internet, people gain knowledge and information from the internet easily, which means people can note about what are changing in the world. People are easy to get interest to the new things, so when they touch with the porn in first time, they will share their feeling to Pete. Also, the actors and audience being enjoy to acting and watching porn. Regarding to the teenagers, some students may study sex as a subject, so the porn will be learning material of the teenagers. Last, having sex before marriage are not the type of mind anymore. Now I'm going to talk about queer theory. What is queer? Many people thought queer is gay or lesbian, which is homosexualities. However, homosexualities and queer is totally different. Queer is that the people who are the body and sexual do not meet the mainstream gender standard. Queer include non-conventional sexualities, let's say bisexual, transvestites, p and pro-ops transsexuals. Nowadays, porn have many different types of sexual orientation. This is one of the way they develop. For example, lesbian, gay, queer. In the traditional porn, there are only a few choices for the people: heterosexual, oral sex, and the role play. However, there are many different types of porn in the new generation, like SM, queer. The pornographer have considered the people of different sexual orientations, so he used different subjects to meet the people's needs. It is one of the way how porn developed. Then, I will talk about the male gaze. Male gaze means the man look at the woman by a voyeuristic way. Woman only is an object in male gaze. When women suffer from the male gaze, they will feel afraid. Also, the male will act fantastic in the woman, and it will have erotic effect. So, male gaze is still a serious issue in the world. We can see a lot of male gaze in the pornography. It is for the man to flirt the woman to have sex. Moreover, many porn are shot in a way that caters to male observation, and most of the porn are shot from a male angle. Also, male gaze will affirm patriarchy. These porn are all disrespect to the woman. It is gender inequality. In addition, there are many gender inequality in the porn, like rape, SM, hooker. Most of the porn are the woman as the victim for the main frames. It will affect the status of women in the society. In the cultural force, it is a standard which for human attitudes and symbol for few decades. It is a key role in the society for balancing the role of human in the world. As we all know, controlling the emotion is an important thing that we should learn in our life. In sexual, the social organization may tempt the unruly and undisciplined to control sex drives for human. It may avoid violently emotional drives to lead humans' life being regularly. With the cultural force, humans will follow social organization to control their sex drives. Humans will watch porn and masturbate to reduce their sexual needs. It may reduce the sexual crime in society. In other hands, the pornography culture being popular because more and more people watching porn. Civilization means describe the cultural norms and values that restrain our volatile sexual. Also, it is instilled way and powerful way to make us feel shame when us doing the correct things. For example, sexual drives of our bodies. And shame means the things what we do contradiction with cultural norms. Shame will make us feel unease and ambivalence. Moreover, there are things which will break the rules of the mind in usual lives. It's called taboo. Taboo is a way that sexual thought and feeling which is banned in usual sex thought. So, why will the people doesn't accept the porn in the past? First, the porn is considered in a bad image and the actors or audience will be shy due to the traditional mind, and they think the actors of pornography are cheap. Maybe you had heard that someone should marry the virgin in the past, so they will not marry with the woman who had acted in the porn. Someone may say that it is a taboo if the woman are not virgin before she married.
And this is the end of our presentation. Let's get into the Q&A session.